ever felt like it's hard for you to stop shopping? Like there's literally something happening in your brain or in your body that makes it hard for you to stop shopping? Guess what? You might be right. Here's the thing, our brain is full of so many different chemicals, and in this video, I'm going to break down some specific neurotransmitters, that's a fancy way of saying brain chemicals, that might be making it hard for you to stop shopping. My name is Lindsay. I'm a certified financial therapist and licensed clinical social worker. Let's get into what might be going on inside your head that's making it hard for you to stop shopping. First, I think it can be helpful just to kind of set the tone, set the stage for what the heck I'm going to be talking about in this video. Neurotransmitters are a fancy way of saying brain chemicals, and their job inside of our brain and inside of our body is to take information from one cell to another. Scientists have identified over 100 different neurotransmitters that are taking messages from one place to another. And your nervous system is this constant network of these brain chemicals or neurotransmitters telling different parts of your brain and body to do different things. If you're curious what neurotransmitters are actually controlling within your body, let me give you just a sampling of things that neurotransmitters are responsible for controlling in your body. Things like your heart rate, your blood pressure, the pace of your breathing, muscle movement, thoughts, memory, learning, feelings, how you sleep, how you heal, how you age, your stress response, hormone regulation, digestion, if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, and your different senses, what you see, what you hear, what you can taste, what you can smell, what you can touch. In other words, basically everything has to do with these different brain chemicals. And when it comes to shopping, what researchers have also found is that some of these neurotransmitters that are responsible for the functioning of our body are being triggered or released when we are shopping. So let's start with a little story to kind of paint the picture of what might be going on and how traditional financial literacy might be missing the mark. This story is made up, but it is based on very real events that I have seen and experienced both personally and in my therapy practice. For this example, we're going to take an adult who is employed. We'll call this person L. And L is a person in their early 30s, and they work in kind of a mid-sized city center with a pretty decent job. And at the same time, this job causes them some stress, and something that they do to cope with the stress, in addition to making sure that they're being fed, is they walk down the block to this adorable local salad shop and they get their favorite salad, and as a little treat, every now and then they throw a cookie into their lunch order. For Elle, they probably go to this salad shop 4-ish times a week, and depending on whether they get a salad and a cookie or a salad and a drink, in general, their total comes to about $18 every single time they go out for lunch. And depending on where you're at socioeconomically or what your typical lunch habits are, you might be thinking $18, that isn't that big of a deal. But when we imagine that this $18 expense is happening 4 times a week, let's just zoom out and do some quick numbers here. $18 4 times a week is a total of $72 per week. And in a month, we take $72 times 4, because there's 4 weeks in a month, and we get a total of $288. So Elle doesn't think much about spending $15 here, $20 there, with an average of $18 being spent. But at the end of each month, they're spending about $288. Over the course of a year, their expenses at this salad shop are almost $3,500. And in traditional personal finance, Elle would basically be demonized for going out to lunch. We all know those personal finance experts who would say, Elle, bring a salad from home, make a sandwich, stop going to that salad store. This is so stupid and wasteful. You could have $3,500 extra dollars a year if you just didn't go get your salad. Well, they're not wrong from a math perspective. They are wrong from a chemical and a human and a systems perspective. Let me explain. When I sit down and I talk with somebody like Elle and I'm asking them about their income and their expenses, and they are telling me about their time going to the salad shop, I might, if I was not oriented to taking a wider lens of looking at their relationship with money, I might look at them and do what that personal finance expert who is based in shame and blame does. But instead, I ask Elle, tell me a little bit about the salad shop. What do you get when you go there outside of the literal food that you are purchasing? And what Elle tells me is something like, I get to walk outside, I get some fresh air, which is something that I don't get in my office office setting. I also have learned who's working the lunch shift. They know me a little bit. We have this nice kind of communal check-in and witty banter every now and then. And so I get this connection. I also get something that is a little bit lacking, which is predictability. I know that every single time I order the salad or I order that drink or I order that cookie, it's going to taste the same way. And not only will it taste the same way, but I know that my experience is going to be pretty predictable from the time that I walk in to the time that I walk out. Not to mention, every now and then, it's like this fun little treat. If I decide I'm going to get this cookie because I'm a regular there, every now and then they throw something special into my carry-away bag. I've gotten fun little treats like when they're trying different recipes for these energy bites or when they're trying a new salad dressing. It just feels like sometimes I get this little spontaneity or I get this connectedness or I get this fun that I just don't get when I go to a generic place for lunch. So now we've got some interesting data, me and Al. Now we've got some data that not only are they getting literal nourishment from going to this place, but they're also getting connection, predictability, fun. They are getting a bunch of their needs met. And me as a therapist, I'm not gonna tell a client, you need to stop having connection, predictability, or fun. That would be highly problematic if I told any of my clients they should cut those things out. But rather than taking this black and white approach that they should never get salad anymore, my approach is going to be, how can we find ways for you to build into your life some outdoor time, predictability, community, connectedness, and fun? And then how can we decide how you can have your salad and eat it too, so to speak, and get some of your needs met elsewhere while occasionally allowing yourself to go to that salad shop that you so adore. And so for Elle, what we learned was that their job was actually pretty great. They were pretty flexible about lunch start and stop time. So Elle found that about 3 days a week, they were able to go on longer walks before work or after work to get in some of that outdoor time that they were really craving. And in terms of community and connectedness, they found that they had a couple of buddies at work that they'd kind of just been work colleagues. And so they started to say hey, sometimes I take an extra long walk on my lunch break or before work. If you'd want to join me, I'd really love that. And turns out there were a few people in their office that were happy to have some additional company. And so Elle started doing these walks with their colleagues a couple of days a week to get their community needs met, to get their outdoor needs met as well. In terms of predictability, that one was a little bit trickier, but we helped them to find some ways to build in some predictability into their life. So for them, having some of that predictability meant starting and ending the day with journaling. It wasn't a whole big thing. It was literally they journaled on their phone at the start of the day, how they were feeling, at the end of the day, what they did during the day, just as a way to kind of bookend their day into being good. And for fun, there were a lot of other things that they included in their life so that they were able to enjoy fun. So now we have built in these other ways for them to get their needs met. And we gave them permission to go to this salad place a few times a month. They ended up going more like once a week. So now, instead of it costing them $72 a week for lunch, it now is costing them $72 a month. And then over the course of the year, instead of spending almost $3,500 on that particular expense, they're spending more like $864, which is a savings of $2,500 plus they're finding new creative ways to get their needs met. So what does this have to do with you and brain chemicals? There are 4 main brain chemicals or neurotransmitters that have been found to be associated with being released when we go shopping. And shopping could be, as I gave in this example, buying something for lunch, but it could also be adding things to cart online. Or it could also be adding a few things from the end caps when you go to the grocery store. It can be any kind of form of shopping. And they are serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. So let's kind of break each of these things down. This is not meant to confuse you or overwhelm you, but I just want to kind of paint a picture of what these specific brain chemicals are doing so you can identify what needs are trying to be met by my brain when I go shopping, and are there healthier ways for me to meet those needs by getting those chemicals elsewhere. So the best way I can kind of think about this this is in a metaphor, and the metaphor that I'm going to use is a pool. So if we think about these 4 different neurotransmitters, dopamine is running into the deep end and doing that cannonball and getting that big, quick rush of excitement and energy. On the other hand, you've got endorphins that you might have after you swim a few laps and you have that sense of accomplishment. Serotonin is actually outside of the pool on the other side of the deck and is the hot tub where you're just kind of like sitting and chilling and having this even sense of happiness. And oxytocin is sitting in the hot tub with a good friend having a deep, juicy, and connected conversation. So we need all of those different things, but those are the 4 that your brain is most likely to try and get when you are engaged in shopping. So let's think about other ways we can get those outside of shopping. And I'm also going to tell you typical ways that we might try and get those needs met, even if they are maybe less healthy or less adaptive. So serotonin regulates things like anxiety, sleep, and happiness. Some maladaptive ways that a lot of us try to get serotonin needs met are through things like shopping and some substance use. Now, there are some healthier or more adaptive ways to get those needs met for serotonin, including getting sleep, practicing some self-confidence, remembering past times that you had happiness in your life or that you felt happy, and foods with tryptophan. That is the kind of happy, sleepy chemical that you find in things like turkey, milk, and tofu. Now, dopamine is the reward hormone, and it's often associated with fun and with motivation. The ways that we might try and get that aren't so healthy include caffeine, sugar, using substances, and you guessed it, shopping. Now, healthier ways to try and get that chemical need met include hobbies, spending time outside, sleeping, listening to music, eating healthy foods like yogurt, beans, almonds, eggs, and dark chocolate. Oxytocin is sometimes known as the love hormone or the connection hormone, and ways that we try and get that need met that might not be so healthy are through substance use and shopping. So you see substance use and shopping show up a lot on these lists. So a healthier way to get oxytocin includes consensual touch. It could be as simple as a handhold, a hand on the shoulder, a hug, all the way up to more intimate types of touch. If you don't have another human in your life, you can literally give yourself a hug. Research also shows that petting a pet, yes, for 15 minutes helps to release oxytocin. Deep conversations and doing activities with others and also helping others. That could be as structured as doing a volunteer event to lending your neighbor a cup of sugar. And the last one that I want to cover is endorphins. Endorphins are associated with a feeling of accomplishment, and they're also a natural painkiller. That's why people who are runners talk about things like having a runner's high after they finish a long run. As you probably know by now, I've said before, I'm not a runner, but I do engage in moving my body, and I can endorse that after completing some sort of movement, I typically feel a little bit better. Unhealthy ways to get an endorphin rush are substance use, shopping, and engaging in self-harm. Healthier ways to get those needs met include laughter. I'm a big fan of bookmarking videos on TikTok that make me giggle. So when I'm struggling, I can open up that bookmark tab and scroll through a few videos for a laugh. You can do the same thing on YouTube, or if you have home videos, wow, I just really showed my age. But if you have videos on your phone of family, friends, loved ones, pets that make you giggle, you can also put those into a little giggle folder or a laugh folder. That can always be helpful. Finishing a hard task, having that sense of accomplishment can also help. And foods like dark chocolate and spicy foods can also help with that endorphin rush. What we do with this information, now that we know that there are different reasons why we may be shopping to get that release of those chemicals, you can now assess yourself and say, when I'm shopping, what of those 4 different chemicals is my brain or my body trying to have more of? How am I trying to meet my chemical needs by shopping? And you might be going, gosh, I feel really lonely. I feel really isolated. That would be a cue for you that you're probably craving oxytocin. Again, that's that connection hormone. That's that love hormone. Can you call a friend? Can you pet a pet? Can you do something like that to help you feel that connectedness? If you are finding yourself shopping when you're tired or when you're feeling a little bit low, you might be craving serotonin. So see if you can can maybe take a nap instead, or remind yourselves of things that made you happy instead of shopping. If you're finding yourself craving a rush or a feeling of accomplishment, you might be seeking endorphins when you go shopping. Maybe you can finish a hard task instead. Maybe there's that pile of paperwork that's like a to-do that doesn't sound super exciting, but after finishing it, you'll probably get that rush of endorphins, so it could definitely be worth it. And if you're feeling like kind of blah, a little bit unmotivated, craving a little bit of excitement, you might be craving dopamine instead of shopping. See if there are ways that you can listen to music that uplifts your spirits, if you can get outside, or if you can engage in a hobby that you like but maybe you haven't done in a while. Please comment down below if you are like, oh my gosh, I know that I shop when I'm craving this particular chemical. I would love to see kind of what might be going on. Of course, only if you feel comfortable. So to be clear, I am not saying shopping is totally off limits. I think that shopping, both the browsing of it, being with friends, finding new things, can be a fun and rewarding activity. And I think it's worthwhile to check in with yourself and be really honest if you are shopping in order to try and get some of these chemical needs met. That might be why, if you're feeling, I just can't stop shopping, if you pause and take a step back and zoom out, you might be noticing that you're actually craving something outside of a new package arriving on your porch or looking at a new shop. I hope this video helped you to see how these 4 different chemicals might be impacting why it's so hard for you to stop shopping if you're finding yourself in that pattern, and maybe identifying some healthier things that you can do instead of turning to shopping if that's your go-to coping skill. Make sure you subscribe to get more content about money and emotions and how they are intertwined. I'll see you in the next video.